everyone! Before we start, I wanted to tell you about the podcast Hot and Bothered. Hot and Bothered is a podcast all about romance novels, and right now they're running a mini-series called Twilight in Quarantine. The hosts, Vanessa and Julia, are rereading the Twilight books one chapter at a time during the COVID pandemic to bring a little joy into their lives. As they read, Vanessa and Julia give advice to the characters of the Twilight novels. Excellent advice that Erin might give, like maybe the Cullens should stop going to high school and instead do something productive with their eternal lives, like clean all the plastic out of the oceans. Or maybe Bella's dad Charlie should stop driving his cop car during personal hours. If you need a little silliness and friendship vibes while sheltering in place, check out Twilight in Quarantine. You can find it by searching Hot and Bothered wherever you find your podcasts. Hey listener, this is Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while cackling, telling each other barely related stories, and sometimes admitting some unexpected truths right in front of you. This week is part 2 of Midnight Sun, and as such, Erin and I have a favor to ask of you. The Quileutes are a real tribe located in the Pacific Northwest, and they weren't consulted on their inclusion or representation in the Twilight series. Their likeness was used, and many would argue, abused, in this series, and they haven't collected a dime from the hundreds of millions of dollars that this franchise is still generating. Right now, they're taking donations so they can move their school, future housing, and other infrastructure out of the tsunami zone where they're currently located. We donated $250 last week, and we would love for you to donate whatever you can. If you bought Midnight Sun, read any of the previous books, or have ever watched a Twilight movie, go to mthg.org and donate anything, even the price of a coffee, because every little bit helps. I'll include that link in the show notes so that you can find it easily. And now, I owe you an explanation. I ran into some computer issues around 10 minutes into recording this episode. Luckily, I caught the problem, and the audio we already had down was saved. But when I restarted my computer, I didn't check the audio input on my recording software, and I didn't record through my fancy microphone. So I sound just like I always do for roughly the first 10 minutes, and then after that, it's amateur hour. I'm so sorry, but re-recording wasn't an option. All right, settle in for part 2 of the silliest breakdown of Midnight Sun possible. Here we go. Hello, Erin. Hello.
Hi, Mel.
How are you, Erin?
You know what was really funny to me about this just now is that we were laughing about something. And then for some reason, when we got ready to record, both of us were like, okay,
here we go.
Calm down.
No
giggles. We've got to get our fucking game faces on.
Professionalism.
Yeah, we got to get into character.
As if we're not just absolute fools from start to finish.
As if we don't usually start episodes screaming, like mid-scream. That was so weird of us. Why do we do that?
I agree. Well, I think it's because I actually have banter I want to talk about. That's the thing that's throwing me off.
Yeah, lay it on me, because I have housekeepings.
Here's what happened.
If I remember them. Okay, wait, let me think about them. Thinking about the housekeepings. No. Okay, all right. I didn't write them down. Sorry, come at me.
Are you putting in your mind palace?
Yeah, I turned the corner and went into the kitchen. Ooh, yum, there's some snacks.
Ooh, Ritz crackers.
Slicing myself off a piece of bread, putting some cheese on it. Oh no, what happened? That's what happens in my mind palace.
Same.
I always go right to that kitchen and start eating some candy, get some Oreos.
Yep. Okay, listen. So
what's up?
we were driving like 40 minutes.
I can't handle any stories about driving right now. I'm sorry. Nope. I read 300 pages.
No, block it out. It's not about driving. It's about playlists.
Okay. I swear to God, if you tell me the make and model of the car you were in and how fast it could go and what the engine was and the specs and the paint job,
Erin,
I swear to God,
we're not here yet.
I'll murder you in your face. Okay.
Okay. So, Michael, to keep because Xiaomi's not great in the car or whatever. And so to keep everybody low key, but the driver still okay to drive and not lullabies or whatever, he downloaded this playlist that's instrumental covers of pop songs or whatever. So honestly, a lot of it is a metric fuck ton of Ed Sheeran, just by pianos or string quartets, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was a song that came on. I had no idea. I'd never heard it before. So I looked down and I commented to Michael, that song's called Body Like a Back Road. And he was like, yeah. So I sat there for a couple of seconds and I go, dusty, potholes, overgrown with dried out blackberry bushes, gravel. If you're really lucky, some gravel. And meanwhile, he's sitting there. First, he gives me that really confused emoji face, with the monocle, and then he's like, as I'm doing more descriptors, he starts going, curvy. It's like a
curvy, Mel,
like a winding road. It's a curvy.
No, it's fun to drive on because of the curves. You dummy.
Was that a pile of manure over there?
Huh. Stop it.
The free-range cattle must have come through recently.
Yeah.
Is that a possum?
Stop it. Stop it.
There are vermin on this road. Get the vermin. Anyway, then we listened to the song, and it turns out Michael was right. It was a curveball for me. But Michael was the correct one in that situation. So then by the end of the day, he was like, first of all, never write a song. And so he stomped on all my dreams.
I'd love to hear that song. I think the HBs would too.
No, by the end of the night, we started singing Body Like a Trash Bag. Another terrible shit. Oh, so good. Anyway.
This is really funny.
I do. Because it turned into what's that smell? Has this trash bag sprung a leak?
I think you're not going to top. Is there a possum in there? You're just not going to.
Well, I thought I would start the episode crying out of hilarity, and it turns out I was right.
Yeah. All right, I have housekeepings.
Okay, housekeepings.
The first one.
Stop putting cheese on that cracker.
The first one. Is that at the end of the last episode, one of my lady loves was that honest trailer for Twilight, and I said at the end,
it's wrong.
There was the scene of Edward sucking out the blood of Bella, and then there was somebody over the top of it going, it's not in there. It's not in the honest trailer. And then I thought it was maybe in the bad lip readings, and I watched all the bad lip readings, which were also fantastic.
Same.
I can't find it, HBs. There is some Twilight internet parody video that has where Edward is like, it is hilarious, but I don't know what it is, and I was wrong last time. So if you guys can find it, that's great, but sorry I led you astray.
No, do not be sorry, because honestly, that was an internet rabbit hole I didn't know I needed at 10:30 at night when I was trying to get the episode out. I was going through for show notes, and I knew about 3 videos in that I wasn't going to find it. And yet I kept watching because they are so
I swear
funny.
I didn't dream it.
I think I've seen it too. I have a memory of it as well.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe this is one of those collective memories that people have that doesn't exist. There's a name for that. Okay, the other thing is we've gotten a couple people that have like sent us like intellectual style breakdown critiques of Twilight and like the links to like the LDS church mythology and the feministy, the intellectual stuff where people have broken down things and found the abstinence, messages and listen, guys, we're not gonna do all that. We're not gonna do all that.
You guys, listen, that is selectively in our wheelhouse, and today is not that day.
Yes. It's not that day. There's so much of that out there. You can go find all of that and how exactly Twilight harmed the minds of young men and women through various means and
we know that. We're just doing something different.
Yeah, we got it. We're just doing a different thing. If you would like to hear us do intellectual reading of book, check out Pleasure.
Yeah.
We blew our loads on that episode and now we're done for a good couple of months at least. So
yeah,
but I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you for emailing us, but we're not going to touch on it.
Maybe I'll just include the links in the show notes. I can't promise anything.
Sure.
I could definitely do that because I do think it's very interesting and very important.
Yeah, people have written theses, all kinds of stuff about how this kind of literature affects people and the psychology stuff and the feminist stuff and the it's interesting,
right?
But I don't have it.
It's just
I don't have the energy.
What I did for y'all this week was read 350 more pages of this book. That's what I did for you.
That's what I did.
So,
did I? I read 300.
You bitch.
I maybe read 300 even.
Bitch.
Listen, guys, there was like 100-page epilogue at the end of this
epilogue
shit show.
Is an hour long in the audio.
Let's talk about the audio because both of us switched over to you guys. If you were to look at my Audible catalog, I don't like to listen to the audio for the podcast. I know that Melody, you kind of regularly do that, so you can do it while you do other things.
I can only do that if I also like have the book to read as well.
Okay, because
so I have to actually
I really like to look at it because I like to highlight things and I like to make notes, and I feel like if I'm listening to it while I'm doing stuff, I can't latch onto it and I can't like make notes in real time to come back to when we're recording.
Right.
So the only books I buy on Audible are the shittiest ones we read. They are the ones that like it's 2 hours to podcast, and unless I listen to this on 3 times speed, there's nothing that can be done. And so like my Audible looks like, I think the last one was Thanksgiving. So almost a year ago, I had to power through Thanksgiving on the Audible. Was the last one that I had to just like muscle my way through. But I just wanted to say that the narrator for this, he's good. It's not his fault that the book is this book. But he's Midwestern or Northern Midwestern or maybe Canadian. I'm not sure. And every time he said blood bag, it was just music to my Illinois ears. I loved it. So I just wanted to say shout out to the narrator of this book. I loved his Graj.
Ooh, Graj,
Graj. It's so good.
I want to give a shout out to the narrator for fully and totally with his whole body committing to all of the roars that Edward does.
You know what? There were a couple moments in his performance that were really good. Like when Edward when she's like dying in the ballet studio and he like goes through, he's like, that like when she's dying, he was doing pretty good with what he had to work with.
Yeah, totally.
Is going through all the different like things Edward is thinking. Did pretty good. All right, but we're not there.
This book,
unfortunately, we're.
You know where we are, Erin? We're in that truck, headed from that meadow to that house.
Oh. One of the things that I didn't mention in the meadow that was really funny is when he did math for like 2 pages. We never mentioned that last week. Do you remember when he did so much math?
Yes, I do remember that.
When he was trying to literally not eat her and fuck her to death, He did like math for 2 pages. He's like, how many blades of grass are in the middle? Carry the 2 plus 5 clouds. Like, it was like nature math. Like, how many insects do I think there are in the meadow? Like, it was strange. I just wanted to say that because we were so ready to be done that we were just like, yeah, meadow, he throws a tree, bye.
Okay, but now we're in this truck and he's driving.
Yep.
He's driving. He turns on that radio and then turns it back off again because who could hear the radio over the clunkety clunk of her geriatric engine? That's a thing we have to know.
Oh, God. He hates that truck.
He does. Then we get to go through how every single member of his family became a part of the family. Every
for the first time.
Single one of them.
Don't worry, this isn't the last time we have to hear this story.
It's gonna happen like 3 more times.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, you know the story, you guys. You know how everybody joined the family. You know that because you read that book.
Right.
So then we're back at his house, I think. At her house, sorry.
Her house, yeah.
She's like, won't you come in? And he's like, yeah, you need to get some food in you. Oh,
yes.
You haven't eaten in so long. I've got to keep feeding you. Ha! You're like a turtle that I own.
He says things like, Bella has to eat every 3 to 4 hours a calorie meal of 400 to 500 calories, and she also must be hydrated. It's like she's like a plant, or like he has no concept of. He has to keep reminding himself of how many calories she needs to consume.
Let's review later on. He literally asks Carlisle to text Alice that Bella needs to eat 3 meals over a 24-hour period and stay hydrated, as if he's writing out, like, this is how you take care of my gerbil while I'm gone.
This is what I'm saying. It's very strange.
Okay, so anyway, he Charlie's not home yet, and so she's heating up some lasagnas. Or something.
It's a casserole. It's an Italian casserole of some sort.
Which sounds like a lasagna to Melody.
Yeah, it does. But these are foreign human things to Edward. Who knows? He's from Planet Vampire, and he doesn't understand what foods are or what people do.
Wow.
This is where he says that he literally comes to her house every night to watch her sleep and watches her say her sleep words of love.
Yes.
She doesn't seem to be very concerned. Except for that he listens to, like, she thinks she may have said something embarrassing.
Right. Yeah, that's always been her thing. She's like, oh, you found out that I love you? And he's like, I found out before you did me because I've been abusing our relationship up until this point.
Do you think anyone in the history of time has whispered, like, I love you, insert name here.
Oh my God.
In their sleep as a confession of love.
Never.
Like multiple times. Like she apparently does this all night, every night. I love you, Edward. I love Edward.
No.
Edward. In her sleep. That's so strange. I don't think any human person has ever done that.
Earlier so a couple of years ago, the most memorable thing I've said.
Every time on this show, I say no human has done X. You like get this little look, and then you're like, well, a couple of years ago. Hit me with it, Melody. What did you do?
I rolled over in bed real quick, and I said, where's my mango? and then just a couple of nights, I apparently sneezed and then sang a full surprise song afterwards.
What's a surprise song, Melody?
So I went like, achoo!
You're such a weirdo.
Michael said I sneezed and I went, But in my defense, sneezing when you're fully asleep is very startling. It's a very foreign sensation.
Sure. David says stuff in his sleep sometimes, but they're what I call David catchphrases. He says good to go probably like 15 times a day at least. It's good to go. It's good to go.
Uh-huh.
Or like he says like in his sleep he'll like say things like it's good to go, it's squared away, whatever, fucking send it. Like that's the kind of thing he says in his sleep. Like fucking let's just do this,
Yeah.
Let's just do this. That kind of thing is what he mutters in his sleep. He's a sleep talker, but he has never muttered, Erin,
I love you.
No, it's fucking send it. Let's do this. So, apples and
priorities,
oranges.
I guess.
That would freak me the fuck out. Honestly,
Yes!
That would freak me out. I'd be like, this guy's too into me. I don't know if I need to be married to this person anymore.
We
That's
gotta
too
pull
much.
the ripcord, is what we gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So listen, a lot of shit happens when they're in this night times.
Well, okay, so when she does her casserole, Charlie does come home. Edward hides when Charlie's home, right? And she talks to him about how she's like not really into any of the boys in Forks.
Yeah.
They talk about the dance, basically. Like, if any boys ask you to dance.
Right.
And she's like, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
Ooh.
And so, like, she goes into her bedroom. Edward's there. Then she, like, leaves to change into her pajamas. And she's, like, very nervous about her pajamas. And then they whisper at each other and stare at each other for, like, a long time until she falls asleep, and then he watches her sleep all night.
The only thing I recall from this conversation is that my gal Bella is like, so when Rosalie and Emmett get married, is it like a real marriage?
Yes.
And Edward's like, Edward, confused.
Bella's just trying to be like,
real marriage?
Do vampires fuck? Like, she just wants to know, do you have a penis? That's all she's trying to say to Edward. Like, do you have a penis, or is it just smooth and shiny and sparkly down there? That's
Edward,
what I need to know.
Quick question. Do you know what a boner is? That's me, Bella. Here I am, Bella. Edward, friendo. Do you know what that tight feeling in your pants is?
And Edward's answer to this is a resounding no. I don't.
Well, basically, he says that can never happen with them.
Right.
Because he could squish her like a grape.
Stinky. Yeah,
so
and like...
smelly and stinky.
Yeah, she's so stinky that he might crush her skull. It's like, when I'm making out with you, Bells, I have to consciously think about not crushing your skull. Like the mountain in Game of Thrones. Like, it could just easily accidentally fucking happen. I could just pop your face off of your face.
I could grab your jaw and it would come off in my hand.
Right off. If I'm not constantly being like, don't. That's what could happen. So I don't really think it's a good idea for us to have sex, because as that honest trailer for the Twilight movie says, I could fuck you to death. That's the best part of that thing, where it's like a romance challenged by the fact that he might accidentally fuck her to death. Oh, it's incredible.
Okay, and anyway, and this is when he realizes that when her heart speeds up, that it might be attraction. And not fear.
God, this dummy. Also, do you know what he says in here? Is like when she's like leaning in to like snuggle with him, he says that she smells like lavender or freesia, ... mouth watering?
Yeah.
Yum, yum. Freesia.
Freesia, my favorite spice.
Freesia. The best snack around.
The seasoned salt of flowers. Okay, then he leaves to go talk to Rosalie. He does fuck off, even though this is a good setup, because he promises her, Bella, I will stay with you all night. This is one of many promises that Edward makes in the moment, knowing that he is absolutely not gonna fucking keep it.
And later in the book, he says something like, I've never lied to her. I could never lie to her. It's like, you lie to her all the fucking time, Edward.
Constantly.
Also, you stay with her all night, like every night, all the time.
Why couldn't it be tonight?
One night she gives you consent to do so, you can't hold it together to stay all night. It's nuts.
So anyway, he does go talk to Rosalie, and we have to do a stupid conversation with Rosalie's petulant face.
One line.
What's up?
As he leaves, he considers I considered Alice's fairly well-developed friendship with Bella, of which Bella was completely ignorant. I don't even know what to say about it. It was just like so strange. And what is this?
Yeah. Okay, tell me.
He comes back, because he comes back too. Wait,
yeah,
maybe he
does.
hasn't left yet. I don't remember. I gazed at her now, deep in her dreams. Oh, he hasn't left yet. I've moved to the floor beside her bed when she'd begun her nightly gyrations.
What did that mean?
What mean?
You're right? Is she like a little humping? Like just
Does she hump?
The tiniest
Does she hump on the mattress? Is that how Bella gets it done?
No, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
That's how like 3% of women get it done. I've seen the pie charts in Cosmo.
It's true.
Mattress humping. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I see the look on your face and I'm not. No. No.
For me, it's not mattress humping, but that's because I sleep with a body pillow.
You bitch, I told you not to.
It's rare, but a delight when it happens,
It's so gross.
What a lovely surprise.
I'm going to have to go in your bedroom at some point in the future, and then I'm going to see it. I'm going to know, and it's going to gross me out.
Hey, Erin.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? I fuck Michael. You're going to have to see him again at some point. Hey, Michael, weird thing. Or, Erin, weird thing. Michael has been inside me.
No! Stop.
What?
I'm good with it in concept. I just don't want to talk about it. Okay. Like specific. I don't want to talk about specifically. I don't want to talk about it specifically being body pillow or Michael. Okay.
Well, that leaves out. I mean, there are a lot of other options.
Let's just talk about Rosalie and her petulant face. I don't know why I'm in a weird mood right now.
I don't know, but poking it is very funny to me.
Yeah, you love poking stuff.
Oh, ka-ching! You did it!
It was a joke. Did you guys hear it?
So basically the only thing is, like, he goes to talk to Rosalie and he's like, Bells is coming over tomorrow, even though I haven't asked her and she hasn't said yes yet. Alice saw the vision, it's gonna happen. And Rosalie's like, I fucking hate you, I fucking hate her, I hate that she's a human, I hate that I'm not a human, I hate everything, and I'm super selfish and very stubborn, and so fuck everyone. My name is Rosalie, mic drop, out.
Yeah. But there's a part of me that's kind of like hashtag justice for Rosalie.
I knew it. I knew it. I felt it in my bones, Erin.
Listen, imagine yourself, Rosalie. You're in this weird culty family with a mommy and a daddy and a brother and a sister, even though none of you are related. Mm-hmm. And one of your brothers brings home like a stinky teenager who has no personality whatsoever. And he's known her for 2 weeks. And he's like, she is my life now. And you're like, stop it. Like, just don't. You know, like, don't. Yeah. I don't want, like, don't ruin this girl's life. Don't reveal who we are to her. That's a big, don't tell one of the teenagers in town that we're all vampires. Like, I've got a good thing going here. Stop fucking it up, bro. I have a lot of sympathy for that. And at the end, when it's like 1 week later and it's like, Bella's in danger, we must risk all of our lives. And she's like, no, fuck you guys. I'm not putting on Bella's clothes to be the fucking bait in this situation. I don't know this bitch. And if I did, she doesn't have a personality to know. So like, no, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I get that. I feel that deep in my bones.
All right. Fair enough.
All right.
Okay. So then he goes back in the morning and she wakes up and she's terrified that he's not there because he like gets a weird, I don't know, conscience boner when he gets back. And he's like, I don't know if it's presumptuous to get into her bed with her again. As if climbing into her window wasn't presumptuous on its own for the past few months. Anyway, Edward. And then, so she wakes up and she's like, Edward, where are you? And he's like,
there, you know, and he's
like,
over
here in the chair. Hello,
and she's
Bella.
like, did I say anything? This is like part of they're not able to have like eye contact, regular relationship conversations. It's like, did I happen to murmur anything?
Reveal anything?
In my sleep? last night? And he's like, yes, you did. You told me that you loved me. And she's like, I love you. And he's
well,
like,
you knew that.
He almost says, I love you too, which is the normal thing to say, Edward, but he
Wouldn't
realizes that it's not enough.
Oh
so
my
he
God.
says, you are my life now.
You are my whole life now, or something awful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then he's like, wow, I get desensitized when I'm around you all the time, but when I leave, you stink so bad when I get back.
This is stinky.
You stink so bad, good. And she's like, well then, never leave. And he's like, all right.
Yeah. It's like when you go into, like, the monkey room at a zoo, and, like, when you first go in there, it's, like, really stinky, and you're like, ooh, the monkey room, I can't be in here very long. But then if you're in there, like, 10 minutes, and you're, like, watching the monkeys, and they're, like, playing around, and, you know, monkeys are fun to watch do their thing, then you're like, nah, I could sit in here for, like, an hour, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's what Bella is.
It's exactly like that. Yeah. Yep. She's a baboon playing with a ball. Okay. All right. So
she at least smells like a baboon playing with the ball.
All right. So then he says, all right, breakfast time. And she decides to attempt a personality. And she goes, and acts like really, really scared. And he's so terrified. He's like ready to grab her and abscond with her into the hills.
But he can't even figure out what she's afraid of. He says breakfast time, and then she, like, makes big saucer eyes and, like, puts her hands over her neck, and he's like, the doy, what could she be afraid of? Like, checks behind him. Is there a tiger in the room now? Like, my God, did a murderer get in? It's like, duh, the thing that you're worried about her being afraid of every waking moment.
Constantly. Yeah, and so anyway, he's like, oh, she thinks she's so funny now. And like, thank goodness he recognizes it as a bad joke, because I don't know if I would have been able to handle it otherwise. And then, you guys, something incredible happens.
Tell me.
Something absolutely magical and so impressive that Edward has to, like, make a note of it. And that is Bella in her element, making a bowl of cereal.
Oh my God. When you were in the lead up to this, I was just like, what could this possibly... Nothing incredible happens in this book. What could possibly... Yes, you guys. She takes that milk out of the fridge.
Oh,
she takes those honey
she grabs
nut
the bowl.
Cheerios. Oh, and then she hits the door with her hip and closes something with her foot or something.
Oh, yeah. And then she grabs a spoon.
Dropping it.
Oh,
damn.
Jeez, girl.
This is what Bella is like
my gosh.
home.
Wow. In her element.
Strange. Yes, I forgot about that. That was extremely strange.
And then he tells her that she should introduce her to her dad.
Yeah.
And she's
really like, why?
Nah, man.
Yeah.
No.
And he's like, I'd like maybe you to introduce me to your dad. Because he already talks about he wants her to come over to his house and meet his family that morning. Because, and this is a big problem I have just generally with the book, is because Alice had a vision that they were going to.
Yeah.
No one in this book has any free will. The author of this book and the entire Twilight series is Alice. Because no one's been thinking about this. No one decides to do this. Alice just has a vision and is like, tomorrow you guys are going to come over to the house and meet the family.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, then I guess we have to. And that's so many things. Is Alice just telling them that something will happen, and so then they do it.
Well, and see, that's really interesting, because I feel like this book really broke her visions in other ways later on. Like, Stephanie Meyer spent so much time explaining Alice's visions and going through different visions that happen and like all the things, right? And so we really, in this book, get to see the nitty-gritty, poke your eyes out mechanics of these visions.
Poke your eyes out mechanics is such an apt way of
Thank you.
describing her choose your own adventure bullshit throughout the book.
Yeah. And so much of the book is predicated on Alice saw this, and so it will happen. Don't fight Alice's visions. And yet the other, I don't know, 35% of the book is like, well, if I make this choice, then the vision changes. And then if I make that choice, then the vision changes. And then she can see other people. Like, it says that she can see vampires the best and humans not as well. But she can't really see other vampires until she can. And then she can't really see other vampires until they interact directly with her family. Unless she doesn't see them interacting with her family. Like this book tried to set up its own rules for this power, and then it didn't follow any of the rules for the fucking power.
And I had less of a problem with that. I did, but like the bigger problem for me was that she predicted everything, whether rightly or wrongly or hazily or in a knot or in a ribbon or whatever.
Sure.
And then that determined the story. So when they're at the end, when they're trying to evade James the Tracker, they're trying to do a cover story for the such and such. It's all like, check in Alice's vision and see what we should do. No one has any like ideas for themselves.
Right.
Or thinks about, like, what should we do next? It's always check with Alice and then just do the route that she thinks is most...
Yeah.
I don't know. And it just mirrors the story because no one's ever risking anything and no one's ever... It's all very predictable because there's literally somebody predicting every step.
Right.
It's very strange.
Anyway, and so then he's like, you need to introduce me to your dad because otherwise he's likely to take out a restraining order because I'm going to be here so much. And her takeaway on that is, you're going to be here...
So much
at
my house. And then she like doesn't want to introduce him as her boyfriend because she thought he was more. And it's like, well, what are you going to be like? Hey, Dad, this is my
to your dad?
Immortal life partner that I've known for a week and a half. Like, let's just go with boyfriend. But no, we have to spend 7 pages on. Well, that's a pretty literal interpretation of boy, and what's a friend, and what's a boyfriend, and what's a, and what are we? And it's like, just, it's
this, yes. And then she's like, you have me until you don't want me anymore. And Bella's like, Bella want Edward forever.
I will always want you, Edward.
And then he's like, well, but she's a stupid mortal and she thinks about things like stupid mortals do. So she doesn't know what she thinks or wants or knows. Which is why Edward should make all decisions for her now that Edward is her keeper and her protector.
Vampire guardian.
Her jailer.
Angel. Jailer. That's a great
guardian angel.
So she puts on her very best blue shirt that he just loves, this blue shirt. And then he goes in for like a smoocheroo.
When she comes down the stairs. No, she comes down the stairs and she falls. And so he catches her because Bella clumsy. And then he tries to kiss her again. And what happens, Erin?
Because he says she's so tempting. And she's like, what do you mean tempting? I don't know if I'm beautiful. Do you like me, Edward? And he's like, should I show you?
Do you want me like as a... Ew. Edward actually says, she asked me if I wanted her as a woman wants a man. Ah! Or as a man wants a woman, is what he said.
Sure.
Sorry. Also.
All right. Moving with, I'm going to read it because it's ridiculous, you guys.
It's so funny.
She's already fallen down the stairs, and he's already caught her as she's fallen down the stairs. Now, moving with what caution I could muster in the face of what I was feeling, I pressed my lips more firmly against hers, savoring their soft yield. I was not as much in control of myself as I should have been. I let my lips fall open, wanting to feel her breath in my mouth. That's kind of a weird one.
I don't like that at all. I don't like it,
Just
Edward.
At that moment, her legs seemed to give out, and she slid through my arms toward the floor. I caught her at once, holding her upright. I held her head with my left hand, rocked it loose on her neck. Her eyes were closed, and her lips were white. Bella! I shouted, panicking. She gasped in a loud breath and her eyelids fluttered. I realized that I hadn't heard the sound of her breathing in a while. Longer than was right. Another ragged breath and her feet struggled to find the floor. You She sighed with her eyes still half closed. Made me faint. She had actually stopped breathing to kiss me. Dear God. What?
How
long was that kiss? Do you know how long you have to hold your breath to faint?
Well, unless you are Bella, I guess.
Oh my God.
Because it seemed like seconds. Listen. And then he's like, Bella, I can't take you anywhere like this. And she's like, you're too good. You're too good at everything.
I read a review of this book where it said that his compulsion or his obsession with her fragility and vulnerability and like constantly being endangered, it borderlines on like a fetish that he has with her. Yeah. And I really liked that explanation. Like he fetishizes how like chronically unhealthy and injured she is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like Munchausen, except he's not actively hurting her.
Right.
Or I guess Munchausen's by proxy.
By proxy.
Yeah, by proxy. Anyway, no, and then afterwards, he says like, wow, I wonder if she stopped breathing in order to make it easier for me. That seems like a Bella thing to do.
It does seem like a Bella thing to do.
It does. And meanwhile, I'm like, well, Edward, if you had only told her about that kink that you have about her breathing in your mouth, then like, she wouldn't have done that. Can you imagine the stinkiest person you know just like breathing into your mouth? Okay. All right. God. So they go to the house. She's not worried that they're going to eat her. She's worried that they won't like her. And so Esme is being a fucking weirdo. And she's like, she's like moving really slowly and being like, hi, Bella. Hello. Has Edward played piano for you, Bella? Have you seen my special boy do a recital for you? Because he's so talented. And Bella's like, no, but I shouldn't be surprised because he's good at everything. And Esme's like, Edward, have you been showing off? Because that's rude. And I taught you to be a more respectful little boy.
I just...
As we were. So then he plays piano for her. And so then he spends 30 pages. We watch him spend 30 pages playing the piano and being really neurotic about whether or not he's been showing off.
Mm-hmm.
And like wondering if he's like been making Bella feel bad because he's been a rude boy who has shown off.
It takes a toll on you when your mommy, who's younger than you, tells you that you've been a rude little boy.
It does.
Psychologically damaging.
It is. Anyway, and so then he's like, I'll make it better by playing her song. And so he's like, this one is inspired by you. And as he's playing his creepy lullaby, he thinks to himself, can she tell that this song came straight from my ball sack?
No, he's singing to himself. Can she tell that this song is about how what she looks like when she's sleeping? He's been watching her sleep for months.
No, actually, what he says is, can she tell this song came straight from my core? Which I'm sorry, sure. Edward, is your ball sack. Okay.
I think he means soul, melody, not
I doubt
ball
it.
sack.
Erin, he just discovered that part of his anatomy. Let him revel in it for a little while, okay?
Fine.
No, I'm fucking around. I just want to wait real quick.
Yeah.
I do want to say that as I was reflecting on last week's episode, I kept on saying we kept on wondering, has he been asexual up until this point, or even aromantic? Both of them seemed as if they were aromantic before they met each other. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty clear that Stephanie Meyer has written both of them as demisexuals who don't have the terminology for it. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because I don't.
I mean, honestly, I think what she's intending to do is write about. I mean, we said we weren't going to do this, but
Oh, sorry.
The analysis through like the LDS lens that it's kind of like this. When we read it as romance readers, it seems like a fated mate sort of thing. Like you're not really interested in anyone until you meet your fated mate. Mm-hmm. But there is that in some of these like kind of Christian ideologies of like until you meet the person who is the other half of your soul, who you're supposed to spend eternity with in the next life, whatever that may be, you're not awakened to these kinds of things. And then when you find that person and you join your souls together and you shmur in the world, then all of these things awaken in you. And that's what's going on here if you look at it through that mythology and that ideology. And that's what I think she's trying to do.
Yes.
But yeah, sure. Ball sacks and what were you saying?
Demisexuality.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, HBs. I'm so excited to tell you about a new book. Kim Lorraine's Ignite is a steamy, forbidden age gap contemporary romance written in the world of Kay Bromberg's everyday heroes. Here's the description. She's everything I swore to stay away from, but I was never good at resisting temptation. When I picked up my life and moved to California, I left my hometown, my past, and my heart back in Sunrise, Montana. I never wanted to look back. I didn't want to look forward either. All I needed was the job to keep me going, until Lark sparked something inside me. But she's nearly half my age, and I'm too much for her. Too broken, too selfish to give her what she deserves. Even though I know it's wrong to want her, I can't resist. Every time we come together, our world catches fire. It only takes one touch for us to ignite. #1 New York Times bestseller, Lauren Blakely says, it's hot, sexy, emotional. Plus, the hero is a cowboy and a firefighter. Sign me up. This delicious treat is available now, so make sure you click the link in the episode notes and get this in your brain.
Okay, now the weirdest thing in the whole book happens. Are you ready, Erin? Are you ready?
The weirdest thing in the whole book is not the next thing on my list, so go for it. What is going on?
So by the time the song ends, because his lullaby ends tragically, where she either gets rid of him or he fucks her to death. Yeah, either one, really. Wah! I get to be inside you. Wah!
All right, anyway.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. She starts crying, all right? So here's what happens. First, he talks about vampire anatomy, and he says that Carlisle thinks...
I forgot. I'm here with you. I'm here.
Yes. He starts talking about vampire anatomy, and he's like, Carlisle thinks that what happens is that the blood literally goes into our, like, it goes into our bodies, and then we literally, like, sponge it into our muscles and get, like, there's no digestion or anything like that. It just, like, powers our bodies directly.
Like, they're more porous or something like that? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it says, so he reaches out and he catches her tear, and it says, I swallowed Bella's tear. What? Perhaps it would never leave my body. After she left me, after all the lonely years had passed, maybe I would always have this piece of her inside me.
Yeah. All right, I have a lot to say about this.
Oh no!
Do you have anything to say before I start on my weird thoughts?
Please go! This is all I can do right now!
Right before he says that, so he says that Carlisle's idea is that...
It's so much! Okay, I'm sorry.
They're like vampire molecules are like more spread out, and so the blood just like... It's just like osmosis is throughout. That's kind of what you explained. So then it says, nothing besides blood seem to move through us. Okay. So they drink the blood. And then the blood moves through them. Mm-hmm. So he knows that the only thing that moves through him is blood. To me, that means they shit plasma. Or blood, or whatever they don't use of the blood comes out their butts. Is that not what that means?
Oh my god, Erin is the only thing they just shit clot.
Maybe.
they
Nothing besides blood seemed to move through us at all. So that means blood moves through them. I stared at that sentence for like a solid minute where I was like, Stephanie, what are you doing? I could have lived my whole life without thinking about Edward Cullen sitting on a toilet shitting blood, Stephanie. But here I am. I guess we've got to know every fucking detail of this guy's life. So then it goes into the tear thing, and the idea is that because it's not blood, it would just sit in his stomach forever, like a piece of bubble gum, or an apple seed, or a fingernail. You know, all those things that your parents told you not to swallow because you can't digest them and they'll grow a tree in you. But then I remembered, do you recall when they were eating lunch 500 pages ago and he took a bite of an apple?
And he would have to vomit it back up.
Do you think that's what happened?
It was pizza. That's what he said. He said I would have to erp it the fuck back up.
He did?
Yeah.
So later he went and purged that pizza up so it wouldn't sit in his stomach?
Yes, that's what he did.
For eternity?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, so that's fine. Because when I read this, I was a little concerned that there was like some rotting food just sitting inside Edward, making his breath super stinky forever.
No.
But I'm now glad to know that he did purge that bite of food so thoroughly that it's all out of there. Definitely no remnants. And now his GI tract is completely clean to now preserve
and ready for that tear.
All right, so point 3. When a loved one cries, have you ever reached out and, eaten their tear?
No!
Just let me... Would you mind if I...
I see you've got some in there. Lick. No!
Strange.
That's not a thing.
Yeah. I'm concerned. I feel like he might eat a lock of her hair any moment.
I'm sure it happened. I swear to God, if she does New Moon, he snips a lock of her hair to eat before he fucks off.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm certain of it.
All right. Alice has had a vision that there will be visitors that come. So just so you know, we can't be surprised by anything in this book. So visitors are coming.
Not to mention that apparently right now she can see vampire strangers.
Vampire strangers are coming. They're going to come tomorrow.
But it doesn't. But she says that they have no interaction with them.
Yeah.
So. Okay, Steph.
Yeah.
Thank you for those fucking rules. Thanks.
Thanks for the rules, Steph.
All right. Now we get to learn all about Carlisle's background. He was born in the 1600s, and I care about none of it. It's about 90 pages.
Is a chapter called Carlisle. And a lot of reviews I read for this book said that the highlight of the book was the backstories about Carlisle and the other family members because they were the only thing we hadn't already read in Twilight, which I can understand that stance. However, I was bored to tears because it had nothing to do with the central story. Yeah.
If you find the Cullens compelling, then I'm sure this book will be awesome for you. I don't find them compelling at all. I think they're fine, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It does feature Carlisle swimming to France, which...
It does.
which I enjoyed.
And then I think maybe swimming to America, ?
Yeah,
he goes to the continent somehow. Oh, no, not the continent. He goes to the New World.
Swims around the world, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now we get to find out about my favorite thing in the whole book, my favorite detail that we didn't know before.
Yes.
This happened. I was in the living room trying to finish this book last night. What?
Can I read one sentence to you?
Of course.
Sorry, I'm flipping through.
Anytime.
It says, I guess ... It sounds reasonable. ? Her explanation ended in a higher pitch, like a question. She was asking a question. Stephanie Meyer? I read the question mark. Do not give me 2 more sentences about how it ended with a higher pitch.
Don't tell me about
as
punctuation.
If it was a question. I read it as a question.
The Audible actor, he saw that question mark, and he also raised his voice at the end.
Raised his voice.
And then that poor actor had to read the next 2 sentences of exposition about the punctuation. Stephanie Meyer?
I might like give it some mystery when I read it the first time, so that the other 2 sentences could have some kind of meaning.
I guess that sounds reasonable.
I was
she said, lifting it night. At the end, as if it's that's what I wish you would have done.
Reasonable.
Reasonable.
I was reading this in the presence of a friend last night. I had a friend over and we read together in the same room.
Cute.
Yeah, it was cozy. And I got so mad when I read that. So I slammed down the Kindle. I did some pacing in the kitchen. Like I had to leave and come back after I wasted my life on those 2 additional sentences.
Completely.
All right. Okay. Anyway, your very favorite thing in the whole book.
Listen, I have a very favorite thing in this whole book, and it surrounds Jasper. Okay?
No, because I hate Jasper.
Here's what happened. Okay, I didn't highlight the first passage, so I'm really sorry about it. I just took a note. Basically, what happens is Alice and Jasper are around. So I'm sitting in the living room. Michael's watching basketball. And I read this part and I literally rolled on the floor cackling about it. It was so funny to me. And that is that Jasper, my understanding of Jasper's power is that he can influence emotions. But what we find out in this book is that Jasper gets high on other people's emotions.
Maybe it's just like the actor that they cast to play like movie Jasper, but Jasper just grosses me out so much in so many ways. And now knowing that he's like an emotional vampire that sucks people's emotions out too. All right, yes.
Jasper followed her into the room, unable to help himself. The emotions inside were nearly intoxicating to him. Yep. In this moment, I knew Bella's feelings were just the same as mine. For there was no counterbalance to the atmosphere of bliss that Jasper was now getting high on.
Yeah, he likes being like around their horniness. It's very weird. Yeah.
He wants to be around their boners for each other, you guys.
He's just like sucking up those emotions. It's strange.
There's actually, so this is the conversation where they find out about the baseball game, and Alice is like, you should bring Bella. And Jasper is like, ugh, and is caught off guard. And then it says, internally, he readjusted his idea of what was to come. He would not be able to relax as he'd planned, but experiencing the emotions Bella and I made each other feel.
Yeah.
That was a trait he could accept. Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no, that's your brother. Oh, no.
No, that's your brother. But
hashtag brother stuff.
It's not your brother.
No,
like,
it is. Hashtag brother stuff.
It's only your brother when it's, like, convenient for it to be, when it's like, this is my brother. And then when it's like, I just want to get a little bit high off your boners. Would you mind if I just tap into your boners a little bit? Then it's like, oh, we're not related.
It is. It's exactly like that. And Edward is so cool with this. He's like, I listen to Heaving Bosoms. Hashtag brother stuff. We're cool.
Brother stuff is fine. I do want to give a quick content warning that during this like long Carlisle chapter, there's a really unnecessary story about a pedophile for no reason.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like a good 10-pager about a pedophile that's kind of like I don't know. It's rough and I don't want to talk about it.
You're like in his brain and I don't want to go there, but like we're just letting you know.
We're just letting you know. We had to read it.
It's like the 15 or 25 pages that we spent in that would be a rapist's brain earlier in the book.
Yeah, and Edward,
Like, why?
saves him from pedophiling. It's rough.
It's awful. So anyway, okay, then they decide to go to baseball. Yeah, he picks her up and it's raining. Guys, that's the thing we know.
You guys, this is my very favorite.
It's my second favorite.
Sometimes when I'm just having a sad day, I YouTube that Twilight baseball scene. God, it's stupid.
Wait, really quick before we get to baseball, I do have to. I thought you were going to do something right before baseball. I'm sorry. My second favorite thing in the whole book is that when she gets into the car and she's been in the rain. I forgot. He leans over to kiss her and shudders. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, you smell so much more in the rain. She's like,
stinky in the rain.
She's like a shaggy wet dog.
She's like a dog, one of those shaggy dogs. And you know what it is when a dog gets wet and then it's drying, all the bacteriums on that dog are going out into the air,
into the world,
and then you're breathing them in, and that's why wet dogs are so stinky. And that's what's going on with Bella right now. All the bacteria on Bella are evaporating into the air, and he's just breathing them in and being like, gosh, you're stinkier when you're wet.
Oh, I'm so horny for your smelly wet dogness.
No, well, I was going to start with the fact that they go... So he tells her vampires play baseball when it's thunder times. You guys, vampires love baseball.
They love it.
They love it. They have to wait until it's thunder times to play a baseball.
Yeah.
They go over to Charlie's house, her house, Charlie Bella house. And they tell Charlie, Edward's my boyfriend. And they say, Edward's taking me on a date to go watch his family play baseball.
Yes.
And Charlie just says, okay.
Actually, what he says is good luck to ya,
because my
fellow
girl
man.
Hates sports. Yeah. But never in it is wait, it's big storm outside.
It's raining times out there.
Where play baseball? Why play baseball? What do you mean? Your family, the four of you, are just going to play a game of baseball? I feel like any rational dad in the world hearing this story when it's raining and thundering outside, and this guy's like, yeah, we're going to go watch my 3-person family play baseball would be
it's a 7-person family, but yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yep. Would be like, no, you're fucking my daughter, and you're not going anywhere with her. I feel like any rational dad would be like, nope, swing and a miss, my friend. You're not playing baseball.
I know what parking is.
Exactly.
Okay. I've been to a lover's lane before, mon frere.
So they've got to find a time when it's thundering but not raining in Seattle, in the special clearing where they're at, to play the baseball because they hit those balls so hard that it sounds like thunder.
Yeah.
Why would they have to wait for there to be thunder and no rain?
Why couldn't it just be rain somewhere else and they would make the thunder? They would bring the thunder, if you will?
Would it even need to be raining? Couldn't they just go out to that field in the middle of nowhere and play their baseball and people would be like, oh, it's thundering and not raining?
Yeah.
Which is the weather that they look for to play baseball?
Yep.
Also, I know this isn't in the book, but the outfits that were chosen for the film are it's just some of the funniest, the little hat that they put on Kristen Stewart.
The teeny tiny hat.
It's both teeny tiny and also way too big. It's very shallow, but extremely wide. And they all have their little baseball uniforms.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. Oh, it's so...
Alice has got those knee
ridiculous.
socks on.
Oh God. It's just some of the stupidest choices anyone has ever made in film or storytelling in history. It's so good. All right, so they go play their game of baseballs.
But before, there is a thing that happens before that I have to talk about.
Okay.
So he drives her in the Jeep because he knows that she doesn't like to be on his back. And then he drives her as far as he can, but then he has to go the rest of the way on foot with her on his back. And so he's like, all right, Spider Monkey, here we go. We're going to get on my back. And she says to herself...
somebody said on our Instagram was a Robert Pattinson ad lib.
Yes.
Commenting on the episode.
Who was that? Wasn't that Reads with E?
Read with an E.
Read with E? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think of Anne with an E. Which is
I know, same. We're such hot dummies.
If that is true, I like Robert Pattinson, but I think I like him more.
More. Definitely
my first reaction was like, ew, but then I was kind of like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, what else are you going to do on that set? That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, he knew what he was making. He's a smart actor. He's actually a good actor. Okay, everybody. So he gets out of the Jeep and she's like, actually, I think I'll just wait here. I'll just not play baseball with you guys. I'll just wait here because it's so scary.
She hates it. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like running around with him.
Yeah. Like, couldn't you have brought me an hour earlier so that we could just walk at a normal pace? We could do that hiking thing we did when you were treating me like, you know, you respected my wishes.
Back when you respected my wishes.
So anyway, this is supposed to, I think, be a big romance. But instead, I found it to be a very uncomfortable and a large gross. So he comes over and we are in his inner monologue. And so he's thinking, I'm going to try to do something on purpose that I've done accidentally before. It seems as though I've been able to dazzle her in the past. And when I dazzle her, she forgets about her wants and needs and boundaries.
Preferences and fears.
And so I'm gonna try to coerce her. And I'm gonna look at her very intensely. And I'm gonna get up into her space. And then I'm gonna tell her that she needs to get on my back. All right, so this already doesn't start working for me because I did have a partner at one point who like thought the sexiest thing in the world was to like come up and like intensely look and like loom into my...
I wish you guys could see Melody's eyes.
just like look deeply into my eyes and like sort of like swagger up a little bit. Like it was a weird...
weirdos. Sorry. It's true though.
Anyway... I always found it to be very unsettling, and I would usually like make a weird joke to, you know, let's restart. We could be sexy again. I could do it. Anyway, so that's already not working for me. But then he kisses her, and then a strange new burning overtakes him. And like fire and burning metaphors have definitely worked in other books really, really well. But when he does it, it always comes off as like a eunuch who somehow contracted an STI. You know, like it's like Edward sat down on a toilet seat. You know that myth where you can sit on a public toilet seat and come away with chlamydia? I don't know.
To me, it always felt that the burning that he talks about when he smells her or touches her is like a literal burning. Like heartburn or actually, because he talks about swallowing fire, you know, like searing pain of the burning. Like it seems literal. It's not like my soul burns for yours or, you know, It's not like this kind of metaphorical burning that I feel like works in a lot of books. It's like a physical, hot, swallowing coals burning.
Right. So it's been an actual physical thing. And now it has like morphed into this quote unquote new burning that he's experiencing in sexy times, which makes me think that it can only be a burning in his urethra.
No, but that's what I mean is because it's been like described as like a very physical, painful, swallowing hot coals sort of burning. Now I'm feeling like it's a very painful, not metaphorical burning in his pants.
Right.
Because I didn't like it either, is what I'm trying to say.
It's a big bad. Oh, and then he succeeds. He successfully coerces her into doing the thing that she has very firmly said she does not want to do. and he carts her over to the baseball. So, good job, Edward. Lots of respect for her boundaries.
So she, like, when he gets there, he, like, drops her, or she, like, faints off of him or whatever. And he, like, laughs at her because she, like, hit the ground funny, and, like, she was real surprised when she, like, smirked on the ground. Which is, you know, whatever. But she gets real mad and stomps around because he laughed at her, and then it's a whole thing. Fine, whatever. I don't care about that. That I don't, except for the fact that, like, if like a fly lands on her, he has to, like, protect her from it. And then he doesn't give a shit that she like hit her head and, you know, is embarrassed now. So he snaps at her, and I don't remember what he says.
I remember.
Okay.
She says, what, you're allowed to get mad and I'm not? Because back in the car, he like kissed her up real good, and then he was like, oh, you're going to be the death of me.
That's what it was. He said something like kind of mean to her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, you know, I'm mad. You got mad. You know, we can both get mad. And then he goes, can't you see, Bella? Don't you understand? She frowned, confused and frustrated. See what? I'm never angry with you, I explained. How could I be? Brave, trusting, warm as you are. Forgiving, kind, sympathetic, sincere, good, essential, crucial, life-giving. I could have gone on for a while, but she interrupted. Then why? She whispered. I assumed her unfinished thought was something along the lines of, why did you snap at me so cruelly? And then he explains...
Oh my god, wait, hold on. HB's listener, he used context to come up with a correct answer. What?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
He says that he infuriates himself the way that he can't seem to keep her, you know, like, protect her or whatever. But it's just like, you guys, this is a cycle of abuse. This is what this is. This is like, he's mean to her, and then she's like, hey, I would really like it if you could not, like, snap at me, and, like, I wish this weren't a double standard, that I can get mad and you can get mad and we can have an equal relationship. And instead he's like, I'm never mad at you. I'm mad at myself for hurting you.
Yeah, he's gaslighting her. He's saying what your perception of what just happened is completely the opposite of reality. It is so fucked.
HBs, then when they get mad at themselves for hurting you, then it's your problem. Now you've got to, like, comfort them, and now you're comforting him for hurting you. For hurting his feelings by being hurt that he hurt you.
And then all of a sudden, Tamlin is weeping into your goddamn splintered abdomen. Okay? That's what's going on.
Been there, Bella. Run as fast as you can.
Get the fuck out of there, Bells. Okay, then we spend about 83 pages watching a very detailed baseball game.
So detailed.
Complete with Alice sending Edward visions of the next play. And, like, it's so much.
We can't even choose our own actions in a baseball game. We've got to turn to Alice to see what the pitches are going to be, and it's rough.
Wow. And then, guys, strange vampires. They hear a crack because Carlisle's so good at baseball. It's the loudest crack they've ever heard. And so now they're on their way. Chugga, 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 chugga. We're 3 strange vampires. We got them red eyes. One of us has a French accent.
It says as the game progressed, I kept watching for signs that Bella was getting bored. But every time I looked, she seemed completely engrossed. And I wrote, that's strange because I'm crazy fucking bored. In all caps.
Yes!
I guess because my boyfriend's not playing in the baseball game, I don't give a shit. But boy, was I bored.
Boy, do I not care. Okay, so this is where my notes get real unreliable because I just started arguing with the book for the rest of the time. Okay, so what happens? All right, the strange vampires come, and they do that whole thing that you read in Twilight, everybody. They're like, hello, may we join your game? And the Carlisles, oh boy.
Because you guys, all vampires love baseball. It is a truth universwersally held that vampires love baseball. It's such a weird base premise to put in your book. It's so fucking weird. Sorry. Like, why couldn't she make a different game called, like, Vampires Ball? It's like a special vampires game. I don't... Anyway, go on.
Or at least something older. You know what I mean?
Something that's unique to vampires that would be like, oh yeah, I can see why they all love that because that's a vampire thing.
Or maybe like that isn't only 150 years old. Like,
I was talking about.
Is it still a novelty to them? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I was talking to Christine last night. I was like, I want to write a fanfic that's like that's Edward and Bella, but like Bella's smart in the fanfic.
Okay.
And she's like, hey, Edward, you don't have, if you do have all these medical degrees, you don't have to be in high school. You could just like not be. And also like, this doesn't really make sense with like the baseballs and stuff. And just like, it's like, hey, Edward, just like get out of this weird ancestral family. Just like come with me. And like, you'll see like where she's teaching him that he's like, this is a boner, Edward. It's fine.
Oh,
and the roles are reversed. I would like that.
Edward,
we can go to Mystic
natural.
Falls and live freely. Like, it's fine. We can go to a place that makes sense.
Edward, anyway. We don't have to live under the tyranny of Alice's visions.
Exactly. Like, get out of here, man. It's okay.
Edward, if you just let me be on top, we can do this.
I can show you how it works.
I can show you my vagina. Okay.
I just want them to move to Mystic Falls and be free, like, and just live real lives. Or Bon Tom, wherever they want to go, whatever Vampireville they want to go to. But Forks is fucking weird how you guys live.
Get out of there,
Edward. Get out of there. Anyway, all right.
Okay, so then the whole scene happens, except we find out that Jasper has cloaked everyone in fucking boring, which my note is, don't worry, Jasper, it's already done.
Yeah.
All of these people are the most boring they can be. You do not have to add on to that. Anyway, a detail that I always thought was really weird from the book and movie, I now found out, this was one interesting thing I found out about, is that when he told her to take down her hair, I was like, what? Do not take down your hair. That's going to make you smell more intense. Yeah. Smell so many more. And then in this book, I have a feeling that she like read some message boards and was like, that would really make her smell a lot more. And so she wrote in this one that it's to mask her skin, to make less skin out in the world.
I do get the feeling that a lot of this book is response to message boards.
Yeah.
So what happens is they got these 3 vampires. One of them is a tracker, which is something we learn about 80% into the book.
Yeah.
The conflict is introduced 80% into the book. This will be the primary conflict. There's something called a tracker, and it's a vampire that likes to track.
Yep.
Okay, so that guy gets interested in Bella because when he looks at Bella and sees that she's a human, Edward, like, darts in front of her and protects her, and the family,
Edward does that super hiss. Remember the super hiss from the movie? Yeah.
Like, the whole family's like, stop, get out of the pose. I can't function. So that's how he gets, like, interested in her, and he says, oh, did you guys bring a snack? And Edward, or one of them does. And Edward's reading their thoughts, and they're like, that's kind of strange considering how these guys live in one place for a long time, that they would bring a lady snack with them to baseball.
Right.
And that is the moment that I realized that all that had to happen there is for one of them to be like, yep.
Right. But it's my snack.
It's my snack.
My snack.
She's my snack. How we do it here is we do kidnap a human maybe every couple years, and she just serves as our, like, replenishing blood bag for a while. Like, when we're interested in, like, a special cupcake night, we do feed on this human. We keep her chained up in our basement and take her to baseball games. And then they'd be like, okay, thanks for the info. We're going to fuck off. And then the book would have been over.
You know what, though? I do wonder if that's... Okay, so yes, I hear that, and I like it a lot.
Thank you, Melody, for your validation.
No, it's true, though. I do, however, wonder if that wouldn't work in Stephenie Meyer's universe. Because my understanding is that vampires in this mythos can't stop. Like once they, there's no sipping. The human dies if they feed on them. You know, like Edward sort of talks about the frenzy or whatever. And so I don't think that vampires in this universe have leveled up to like, let's feed it pineapple for a month and then make martinis, you know?
Okay.
I don't know.
I just feel like they could have explained it somehow. Like, you know, once a month, we run down to Los Angeles, takes us about 15 minutes because nothing matters. And there's no time or space in this book. We run down to LA, grab a random stinky teen, and we run back here. We have a baseball game, and then whichever team wins gets to eat her. And that's how we do it.
It's their victory Cracker Jacks.
Yep. And no one notices because we pulled her off, another city. And that's what we do. Like, listen, they could have thought of anything.
Literally anything.
Except for this is our special human. Protect her at all costs.
Yeah, so then the rest of the book, this is truly the first time that we get to see what Edward does when Bella's not around. And let me tell you, it is so boring. Tedious. Wow. It's supposed to be a big suspense, and it's supposed to be like an edge of your seat. And boy, was it just lakes and speed limits and turns.
Know what happens? I mean,
that's part of it. Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
And also, like, so she goes, you know, I think we can go fast. Do you think we can go fast here?
I think we can go fast, yeah. Yeah.
So, like, the plan is, and she thinks of the plan. They're all like, should we do this stupid plan? I don't know.
Alice,
what about this?
What's your vision telling you?
And yeah, very Alice, what's your vision? And then Bella's like, I have a plan. Does anyone want to hear it? And Edward's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I don't. And
that's
then
actually
she's like,
what happens.
Yeah, and she's like, Emmett, do you want to listen to my plan? Here's my plan. And Emmett's like, she has a good plan, you guys.
No, and Edward's like, hold her hands down. And so Emmett grabs her hands and holds it down so that she can't undo the harness and jump out of the car.
Yeah.
And then they finally listen to her, and it's a great plan.
Because she knows that their plan will get her dad killed.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
So her idea is that she goes home, she tells her dad she hates him and she hates Forks and she hates Edward, and she's leaving and she's going back to Arizona right now and she's taking the truck.
Right.
Then she storms out, and then they take the truck, like they all split up, and then Edward goes to like Alaska in the truck, and then like somebody goes to what? Yes.
I just remembered that Edward tapped his foot through that entire meeting. I'm so sorry. He tapped his foot so that they wouldn't hear her heartbeat. Okay. I'm so sorry.
So they wouldn't hear her heartbeat?
Yes.
I missed it. When you first said it, I was like, okay, Mel, he's nervous. Like, I don't know why you're laughing so hard. He tapped his foot so they wouldn't hear her heartbeat.
To the point that, like, when somebody did something that scared her heart, like, changed rhythm, and he had to, like, change up his foot. His foot tapping.
Good. I would love to see Robert Pattinson do that.
Oh my God. Can we please petition to make Robert Pattinson do, like, an indie version, an indie film of Midnight Sun? Please, Robert Pattinson. Can you hear our voices?
He would never do it, and he shouldn't. Just us asking is abuse. Like, don't... No,
you're right.
No
you're
one
right,
remind this poor man that he was ever here, please. Just let Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart go. Just let them go. There are so many headlines around this book. They're like, will we get Rob and Kristen back? And it's just like,
no.
Let them free. Free them. They've done nothing wrong. Oh, God.
Oh my God.
I'll go on record. Wow. I think she's a good actress too. She don't care. I think they're both good.
Yeah, agreed. And this, I thought they were bad actors just because of this one movie, and it's not true. It's just a bad movie. They didn't have a lot to work with. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so here's what happens. they do the thing. They split up. I think, like, you know, they leave. Goodbye. They're in the Jeep. He's following them. They're driving, like, to the Arctic Circle, question mark? That's the whole thing.
They are cruising up to my home, the Arctic.
They are.
They're bouncing all around Alaska.
They're, like, refueling from cans in the back seat, even though they're driving a monster truck Jeep. Yeah. That's fine. Nobody think about that. So then Edward sends a texty text over to Alice, first explaining the care and comfort of his gerbil. But then later he says, will they stop following us if we keep going? And she's like, no, they will not stop following you if you keep going. But instead of doing that, he, like, veers off to stop to, like, spring a trap. When I'm like, wouldn't you want to go as far as possible? Like, why not make it to northern Alaska before you spring this trap?
It doesn't matter. I mean, they're just stalling.
I know, none of it mattered.
None of it matters. The stakes are nothing.
Yeah. So, anyway, they do spring that trap. We spend literally 116 pages running around the forest and swimming through the fjords. And
they do. They swim through those fjords. They do so much Alaska times.
They do.
You would not believe. Just zipping and zooming all around the tundra.
Boy.
Yep. And no one cares.
Nobody cares. And so then they do find out that he gets onto a plane and goes somewhere. And then Alice calls them and she's like, he's coming to Phoenix. There's a mirrored room. Get
this
here
detail
now.
was pretty great. I'm just flipping through it and seeing if I, like page by page, seeing if I have notes. Yeah. This detail where they were deciding who should take what car.
Oh, boy.
Alice, Jasper, take the Mercedes. You'll need the dark tint in the south. Jasper nodded. Alice already knew because of her visions. It's like, What? We're talking about the darkened tint in the windows so that the car doesn't get
Erin,
too hot or whatever in the south? And then, like, Alice has already seen it in her visions. Why are we talking about this?
All right, let's do this now.
Yeah.
Is Stephanie Meyer, like, a car guy?
Let's talk about it.
Is she, like, a car guy? I
think that she wants to be. Listen.
Okay, wait. Before we do this, here's what happens. They are going down to Phoenix. They get on a plane. They go down to Phoenix. And
Bella's already there.
They're here. Bella has gone away. She has gone to a mystery place that we know is the dance studio. And now they have to get from the airport to the dance studio as fast as possible. You would think that this would be a 3-sentence, we did a thing that took us 7 minutes, we're at the dance studio, but instead it is 2 whole chapters. I swear to Goddess.
Edward he does so many things to, like, shave seconds off of this travel from, like, A to B.
Yeah.
But spends what seems like 20 minutes walking around trying to pick the perfect car. Should I pick this one with flames on the side? Should I pick this one, like...
Do I smell nitrous in the air? Second of all, is that a thing car guys do? Do they drive their souped up street racers and leave them at the airport? Is that a thing? Like in long-term parking? They're just like, you know what I'm gonna drive?
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who has left a WRX STI with a spoiler at long-term parking at the Anchorage airport, I can tell you that we do.
You just said letter salad at me. Explain.
I only said letter salad because I recognize the fucking car that he gets into. It's the one with the flames at the thing that he's like, this
Erin,
is the fastest car in the whatever. And I was like, oh my God.
Everything. New podcast. We're stopping now. What the fuck, Erin? Explain.
I've had that car.
Me. What is this new section of your personality I've never encountered before? Explain it to me.
It's not my fault. It's my husband. I think there's David likes cars and motorcycles and stuff, and we had
and also
I had
frog record players.
Yeah, he contains multitudes. We had a big truck, and then we had my little Rav, and my Rav was dying, and I didn't really like driving the big truck because it was too high off the ground. And it was unwieldy for me to I didn't like driving it.
You were like Bella trying to get into that Jeep. However, will I get up there?
I couldn't get in. I just didn't like it. I didn't like parallel parking it downtown. I didn't like driving. So we decided to get rid of both the cars and then get a car that both of us could drive that was like a sedan. And then David would drive his motorcycles during the summer, and then we would share that car in the winter. And somehow I blacked out, and then what we walked away with was this WRX STI with a spoiler, and it's a fucking race car. And we had it for a couple of years, and it was, it's just a great car in the winter in Alaska. It has about a 2-inch clearance from the ground,
God.
Boy, can you drift it around roundabouts. It's fun. But it's not the easy to drive commuter car that I don't know what happened. We also own one of the motorcycles that Edward can't wait to jump on during this car chase, because he's driving one of the cars and he looks over and sees this motorcycle. It's a BMW RRs. I forget what it was. And he's like, oh, I can't shake the idea of me driving that motorcycle. Alice is like, I don't know that that's the best thing.
Alice is like, you need all of us, motherfucker, or everyone dies.
Yeah, and he's like, but I want to ride that motorcycle. And so he jumps on the Beamer and goes and does that for a while.
Quick question. I have a question.
Is it about the Subaru? Because we did get rid of it. We just noticed that every time we were at a stoplight, someone would come up next to us and be like, vroom, vroom, want to race? No. And we're like, no, we just thought it was cool. We were like after a couple of years, we were like, we have to get rid of this thing. This isn't who we are. And so we did. We still have all the motorcycles, but yes.
I was going to do a logistics bing boom bong of this book, because here's my question. Do you think that it would have been faster to, I don't know, go slightly closer to the speed limit and not get into a high-speed chase with the police and have to switch cars and sedate a soccer mom?
Melody, it is said in this book that it takes Edward 2 hours to run from Washington to San Francisco and back. It takes Edward 2 or 3 hours to run to Alaska, which is 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Why didn't he run?
Yeah. Well, because Sparkles and
who cares?
Bystanders or whatever. The Volturi.
I'm sorry. What attracts more attention than a high-speed car chase? If I saw a sparkly vampire run past me at 200, 300, 400, 500 miles an hour.
I don't even know why anybody would see him if he's so fast.
Yeah, I wouldn't even see it. And if I saw it, I would be like, what was that? Gonna go tell my girlfriends about it at brunch, not call the army. There would be no, it's not like the government's gonna do a UFO cover up for a speedy, I don't know. It was just very strange.
I hear you. Anyway, so
but that's what I was thinking. Though, he should just run.
Fair. So they spend a good 25 minutes picking out the perfect car that has a go-go Speeder McGee button, the number 1, and a go-go Speeder McGee button number 2.
It does. I'm so ashamed.
Wait, that's not an addition? That's just, you had 2 different go-go Speeder McGee buttons.
It did have the spoiler on the back so it doesn't fly at 150 miles an hour. I'm just so ashamed that we were those people for a little bit. It was a quarter-life crisis.
It sounds
like a very sensible Jeep now. Want everyone to know.
So anyway, so they're driving. We hear about every time he shifts into another gear. We hear about Alice like pulls up a schematic in her brain of the whole highway and like 3D turns it horizontally and horizontally and vertically so that Edward can memorize and like frogger around all these cars.
We know everything about every engine and every just so because he does multiple cars on the way there and
and we have to not only do we have to hear about both of the cars that they actually use, we also have to hear about the 5 cars that he and Alice consider mentally.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And then we know all the specs and the make and the year and the engine and why that engine is better than this engine and like should we know every time he shifts and
he'll be like, now I'm on the shoulder and I'm driving. I'm driving
the
to go get
suicide lane.
120.
I don't care.
And then he'll be like, now I went in front of this semi truck. 145. Now we're careening around this blah blah blah. I love the freeways in Phoenix. 180. Like
He doesn't like the heat, but the beautiful freeways in Phoenix. Bella's dying. She's dying. She's literally dying. And I have to read about all of this.
Okay, so then they do assault that soccer mom, and they steal her car because there's been...
Porsche.
That's, sure, I don't know. And then they get to that dance studio finally after 165 pages. And then...
It's rough in there.
And then, boy, is it rough again!
It is covered in blood in there.
So many bloods. And he comes in just as James is like lunging for her again, and he pulls him off, and then Jasper, and you know the scene. Jasper
you were there.
Emmett, they fight him to death.
Then, Carla, they're doing the burning and the tearing apart. Because the only way to kill a vampire in Twilight is to tear them apart and set them on fire.
I have a question for you about this. I need to know. Stephanie, I'm angry that you didn't explain it to me in this book. How does it work otherwise? If they don't burn the pieces, do the pieces like crawl to each other? Or
I think so.
Does like the whole body grow out of the head, Deadpool style?
Do you survive in the pieces until somebody puts them back together?
Right? Does it require outside help to piece you back together? If that's the case, do you heal? Or are you like that beautiful teacup artistry where you break a teacup and then you gold it together?
The gold teacup thing?
Are you like that?
Yeah.
Are you then a shattered golden vampire? What happens?
I would. Hey, if you're listening and you are a Stephanie Meyer glitter type vampire, if you're a glitter type vampire,
please,
and you have been shredded to pieces, to ribbons. Yes. What was the book we read that was constantly shredding to ribbons?
I have no idea.
Was that an Ackrosh? Anyway, if you've been shredded to ribbons and you've been put back together and you've got little seams of gold all through you,
please
hit me up, bro.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We will keep your confidence to the grave.
But also I'm interested in you as a boyfriend.
Obviously.
That seems really sexy. Like piece back
girlfriend.
Together with gold seams.
Anyway, let us know. Okay.
So she's dying and she's all like, my hand. And then it turns out that he did bite that hand. And then so like Carla's like stitching them together. And so now they've got to decide whether they're going to make her into a vampire, or I guess let her turn into a vampire.
Right.
Or kill her so that she, like Mercy kill her so that she never has to be a vampire. Or suck out the venom that's in her hand to try to get her to not turn into a vampire and live as a human.
And I assure you, this takes 34 pages.
There is so much thought about how to save Bella's humanity and not make her into a vampire, when Edward and Bella have had no discussions at all about whether maybe Bella would like to be a vampire.
No, that can't be a consideration. That's not important to him.
It's very paternalistic.
It's incredibly paternalistic.
And this all happens during a time where she is conscious.
Yep.
And saying things like, my hand, it's burning. Edward, I'm conscious and able to form words and hear questions.
Right.
And Edward takes so long to be like, should I just murder her now? Should I let her be vampire? Should I maybe just in the meantime, while I'm thinking, start sucking out venom, just to preserve the time that we have right now?
Or
and
should
then
I
could
just snap her neck? Because that's my decision to make as Edward.
It's not a neck snap. It's going to be a bleed out. We're not in Mystic Falls.
Oh,
we are
sure.
Phoenix.
Fair.
But I feel like she was conscious enough that Edward could have looked at her in the face and been like, Bella, we're in a situation where you're either going to be a vampire, you're going to be dead, or we can try something to see if you can be human. But if we try that, it might not work. What do you want to do? And she would have told her.
Why would he ever do that?
I don't
That
know.
would literally never cross this motherfucker's mind.
It didn't. I know, because I was in it.
This fuckface does not care what she thinks or wants or feels or desires or fears even.
It's all about her and her relationship to him, too.
That's the thing. So later on, I don't want to forget this because this is the thing that drives me the most fucking bonkers about this book as a romance. And that is that, spoiler alert, she doesn't die. He sucks the venom out. And when he walks into the hospital room finally, he says, Carlisle fucked off because he was going to save more people in the hospital. But I couldn't do that because what nobody understood is that it was my life.
On that gurney. Yep.
It was my life on that gurney.
Yeah.
And that is supposed to be romantic.
I'm so glad you brought this up. I had the same thing.
Infuriating.
Yeah. Because it's not. It's her life.
She has agency. She is her own fucking person. It is not about you.
Mm-hmm.
You absolute paternalistic, narcissistic monster.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks his vampirism makes him a monster. No, it's the fact that he looks at a completely other entity and says, that is so mine that I am it.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, man. Oh, fuck right off. So anyway.
Yeah, I felt the same. I co-signed.
Yeah. And so it would never cross his mind to be like, hey, Bella, what do you want? Because it's all about Edward and what Edward wants and what Edward thinks and what Edward's comfortable with. And it has been the whole time.
And then at the end of this book, which I don't really want to get into, but she does tell him that she wants to be a vampire.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a shit. He believes that because of her youth and her dumbness, despite the fact that she was in AP biology back in Phoenix, he thinks that she doesn't have the maturity to make that decision for herself.
Right.
But she does have the maturity to make the decision to, like, be around him despite the risks. Like, the decisions that she makes that are good for him, she does have the ability to make. But the ones that he wants to make for her, she doesn't.
Exactly.
I do want to touch on the...
Wait, is it the 92 pages we spend watching Alice make the plans?
The crime scenes?
The chapter entitled Logistics? Is that?
I just want to say, this was insane. We don't have time. We're running out of time, but God, it was insane. Like, at the hotel, like, you guys, they're trying to keep the cops off the trail here.
Uh-huh.
For, like, not a lot of reasons. Like, I just feel like the cops are gonna get called, guys, and you're gonna have to deal with it. Like, they jump through crazy amounts of hoops to be like, Bella fell down 5 flights of stairs at a hotel
and through a window,
through a plate glass window, and they go like stage the scene and have Alice go to the hotel and get the hotel to clean it up, and then, you know, they're like, oh, we see the future of the hotel workers worrying about this after they clean it up, that it could have been a murder scene, and worrying about a lawsuit, and like,
not to mention that we watch Alice make the reservation at the hotel 3 times because we watch her change her decisions to make the hotel transaction faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize. I'm like cleaning my office. I'm like, you know, getting stuff done, and I've got the Audible playing. So then all of a sudden I realize we're still in the car on the way to the hospital.
Same.
I thought we were out in the world doing shit, but no, we were just watching Alice make
imagining
plans
the possibilities
in her brain.
Yes.
So we watch her do this hotel thing, and it's like that scene from Zootopia where they're at the DMV, where all the only sloths work at the DMV.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she figures out a way to make that sloth go faster. Then, after they stage the whole crime scene, she imagines a phone call with Rosalie where she tells Rosalie that Emmett is gonna come back to drive the truck, and like this is a whole imagination thing. Then we imagine her buying 4 suitcases that don't match for no reason, and then buying everyone like a Phoenix wardrobe that's perfect for them and they're gonna look great in.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then still at the end of this thing, I really don't understand how they're explaining that, like, Alice, Emmett, like, that Carlisle's there, that Edward's
Why are
there.
they
like,
there?
I mean, I know that they did explain it. I know that they did, but it's like I was dumped so much information and so many different ways they were gonna try to explain it and try to do it.
So many iterations
like,
of
the
each
car
thing.
and returning the Porsche and getting the truck
renting
down to Phoenix.
The car at the airport, a new car,
getting it cleaned.
It's a white Suburban, everybody. I don't know why I know that.
Like, I spilled tomato juice, like getting the truck down there because she was supposed to have going to the Arctic Circle and getting the truck, and then like calling Charlie and being like, guess what? Your daughter drove to Phoenix in the truck, and then she checked into a hotel and then immediately fell down 3 flights of stairs and crashed through a plate glass window, which I'm sure that the injuries do not match that. Like, I'm sure that any medical provider would be like, oh, compare chart, look at lady, and be like,
Not to mention that Alice stole blood out of the hospital to swoosh around the motel.
Blood banks.
That's not going to match her
blood. And so, and then, so tell Charlie that she fell down all the stairs, and that then she's at the hospital, but then also Edward's here, and also his whole family, because Edward, I don't even remember how they
wanted
it. Like,
I think it was like
so
Edward wanted Carlisle to.
But why did Edward go first to them? But so Edward was like so concerned, and then he called Carlisle because he wanted Carlisle to like treat her personally so that she would be better. But like no one calls Charlie during this. She's a fucking minor. How did her boyfriend and his dad and his siblings figure this out before the dad?
Incredible.
Mom shows up. She sucks as usual.
Edward has the audacity to call her a narcissist without looking in the mirror.
Right. Which, I'm sorry, sometimes when you are camped out at a hotel for 2 weeks, you do eat a lot of junk food and you do feel like a sloth. That's fine.
No, listen, what I'm saying is her mom is a narcissist, but second of all, Bella, you learned this in your childhood. You're trying to marry your mom.
Fair. But I guess, like, the thing that he's mad about is that, like, the mom's taking the stairs and being like, oh, gosh, I've been at this hospital eating all this bad food and I feel bad physically and would like to get to the gym. I don't think that's that bad, to be completely honest.
No, I mean, I think it's that bad when the first thing you say to your daughter after she woke up after being asleep for 36 hours is, I was so scared. Not, how are you feeling? Not, I'm so glad you're alive. Not anything that centers it on Bella.
I was so scared that you weren't going to wake up. I'm so happy you did, I guess is how I read that.
Yeah, sure. I
hate her mom. Listen, I hate her mom. I don't know why I'm defending her. I'm having an out-of-body experience right now.
What you're saying
just because
is
Edward was the one being like, you're a monster. I was like, she's really not compared to you.
She's not, Edward. You think that that's your life on the gurney there. Renee is the daughter. Renee is the one who's like, look, daughter that I love, separate entity that I respect and cherish. What decision would you like to make? Oh, it's not coming to live in Florida with me? That makes me sad. But it sounds like that's the decision you made as a rational adult.
Yeah.
That was Renee's response. So, fuck off, Edward.
Yep.
Let's not throw stones. You live in a completely glass house.
Yeah.
Also, you're a fuckface. Okay. Oh, also, he was super pissed at all the blood transfusions. Made her smell weird. He no longer smelled like Frisia, the seasoned salt of flowers.
Delicious, scrumptious. Scrumptious.
What does that even mean? How did that come out of my mouth? Anyway.
The seasoned salt of flowers?
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
All right. Did you read the epilogue, Melanie?
God. Oh, wait. Also, wait. We do have to say 2 things that happened in this book that were like bonus content that didn't happen in the first book. 2 things. One is he watches the torture porn that the other vampire made.
It's stupid.
And in that torture porn, there's an entire conversation that just didn't happen in Bella's book, in which we find out, in which we find out that James knew about Alice's backstory. This whole Alice has no idea who created her, burp, 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 burp. Apparently, Bella, forgot that part because she hit her head or something.
Oh, I herbsed a lot of the torture porn video because I started reading it and I was like, well, I know what happens here.
I was there during Twilight.
I don't want to watch Edward watch the thing that I read about. So I think I skipped a lot of that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Basically, Alice was in an asylum because of her visions, and some old ass vampire jailbroke her, and then James, she's the one that got away. James was like, I want that. I'm going to eat it. And then the old vampire was like, nope, I made it a vampire or something. That was my understanding. I may have herbsed it too. Anyway, so
why James not track Alice? Why James not track Alice? Because Alice vampire?
Yeah, remember when Alice said he'll lose his interest if she's no longer edible?
Okay, all right, okay. Good,
yeah,
okay.
Methinks that was planted in her subconscious human before brain.
Sense.
Anyway, so then, I did fucking read that epilogue, and it was, the thing that really pisses me off about the ending is that we do find out that the whole time Edward once again was lying to her. He's like, I'll stay with you. And then his inner monologue continues being like, until you're well, until I get the sign, until I get my thing that tells me I have to go. The whole time he's just lying to her fucking face. Which I guess we knew after New Moon, but I think I thought that he made the decision after. You know what I mean? I believed him when he said he was going to stay, and then I thought something happened to change his mind. Anyway, and then we go to stupid prom, and we do that entire thing, and nothing is different from before. And it's everything that they said out loud before. And that's it. That's the end. Thanks.
The end.
Woo!
Thanks, I hated it.
Thanks, I hated it.
You're welcome. You don't have to read it.
Yeah. Or if you did and you loved it, yay.
That's fine.
I'm really, really happy somebody loved this book.
Yeah.
Erin, what's your lady love? Tell me all about it.
I found an article on Slate that's called All 349 Murmurs in Stephenie Meyer's Twilight Saga Charted and Ranked.
Yes.
And it made me so happy. This author noticed how much murmuring happens in Twilight. And as you probably could guess from listening to this podcast, I love the word murmur. I think it's one of the funniest words in the world. Murmur. It makes me so happy to say it. And so I read it before I read this article before I read the second half of this book, and it made the second half of this book so much more entertaining because every time they murmured, which was all the time, it made me giggle. And the thing that is the best in this book, in this article, she charts how many murmurs are in each book, and then who does the murmuring. And in who does the murmuring, it's so much more Edward than anyone else, times 3. It shows their faces of who's murmuring, a chart, and then it's got little faces of everybody to show, and then it's Alice, Bella, Edward, Carlisle, and then there's just one tiny, not quite opaque photo of Edward off to the side that goes, a hallucination of Edward. which just made me laugh so much. And then there's a pie chart that's like where Edward does his murmuring, and like 60% is into Bella's ear.
Her ear.
And 30% is into Bella's hair. And
no!
18% is the night / the darkness. And then the rest is like other or something. But the idea of like, I think just the darkness is so funny. And then she takes the bottom 10 and top 10 murmurs and then ranks them. At one point, one of the worst murmurs is Stephanie Meyer describes something of like they were talking at full volume, not murmuring at all. It's just like the explanation is like no longer content to tell you when people are murmuring. Stephanie Meyer now just specifies when characters are not murmuring. And then the number one murmur is Edward murmuring, "It's Twilight." It's Twilight. Anyway, read it. I pretty much just told you all about it, but it made me crack up. I loved it. That's my lady love.
Oh, that's great. Mine is of a similar vein.
Bitch, scrunchies are back. Everybody said that they are, and they love them, and they've been wearing scrunchies for weeks, and what a great lady love, they said. They said, thanks, Erin.
You want to know what's hilarious?
Said. That was the reaction to my lady love last week.
Do you want to know what's hilarious?
You bought a fucking scrunchie and you love it?
No, completely independent of all of this. Michael noticed that my kids needed more hair things, and I came downstairs today after he went on a shopping trip, and he was putting both of their hair up with scrunchies.
Yeah, because they're readily available, because they're fucking back. Get out your caboodles, ladies.
Oh my god. Okay. My lady love is of a similar vein, and that is, boy, was that bad lip reading of Twilight rabbit hole that I went down.
Slapped a
One
fish.
of the funniest things that has happened to me in like 3 months. And I do this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I get to talk to Erin every week, and still, that Twilight rabbit hole brought me such joy. Bad lip reading of the Twilight saga is one of my favorite things.
I've also found the other like really good bad lip reading, weirdly, I'm not really into footballs at all, but the bad lip reading NFL is also very good because they do like the coaches on the sidelines with their like little microphones. Okay. And those are really funny because they're usually like either very intense or very emotional in some way. Like they're usually like throwing a clipboard or something.
Yeah.
Those are great. Or like players like holding each other's shoulders and saying something really intense into each other's faces, you know? Those are great.
Anything that makes fun of toxic masculinity is going to be in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That's some good shit.
Hey, did you watch the one with the Taylor Swift? Did you watch the Firelight thing too?
Oh no, I forgot to watch it. I'm going to watch it though.
It's got my boyfriend.
I will.
Okay.
I remember that I saw it forever ago, but I have, it's like a hazy memory, you know? So I definitely am going to rewatch it. Okay, listen, you guys, there's big shit happening in Heaving Bosoms land. I am telling you that you need to send in your Podiversary emails because it's going to be so much easier for Erin and I this year.
Please help.
We're going to be so much more reliable about it because I'm going to read every email, but I won't have to find every email because we have an assistant now.
Oh, I thought we were going to tell. I don't know why in my brain I thought we will announce this on the Podiversary, but we can do it now.
Oh, we don't have to. I'm just saying that if they send an email, we will see it because of Natalie. People.
We have an assistant.
Oh my god.
We hired an assistant?
We have an assistant.
She's our assistant. No more will emails wait 6 weeks for Erin to answer.
Not a fucking again.
No more will we completely forget that you sent us a message.
Never.
No more.
Natalie will not allow it. I have been so on the ball.
Yeah.
Ever since we brought Natalie on board, it's been the best decision of my life.
That in Gmail you can like make like to-do lists and shit.
There's task function?
When we hired Natalie, the things that just happened astounded me. I opened up the Heaving Bosoms inbox yesterday, and it was not only like everything was red, which has never happened.
There was only 2 unread emails in there, Erin.
Oh, when I looked, it was all red. And then also there was like a list of tasks that you could
check
off. And there was something
There's
else.
like a
it was
notes
like reminders
feature
or something. Reminders?
Oh my god. You can attach emails to the tasks. You can be like, I don't know what that task means. And then you click on the little mail thing that's under the task, and it's the email that is associated with it.
My God.
Holy
you guys,
shit.
It has never been a better time to advertise on the Heaving Bosoms podcast.
You let us know. We are going to get to that advertisement like lickety fucking split.
Damn. You guys, this year, when we do the Heaving Bosoms reading embrace, we're not going to have to do 3 rounds of announcing the winners, because we're going to do it one time, and that's going to be all of the winners.
Because a competent person will have compiled it.
All right. So that's some big news. Our new merch store is up, also with the help of Natalie and some wonderful artists.
You guys, this merch is incredible. There's a design that says "Tits Out for Romance." There's a design that says "Read Black Romance." We're not going to take a penny from it. All the money that you spend on that design is going to go to this year. It's Color of Change, which I love. There's an abs dick design that like makes my heart sing.
All the runners up for all the designs that we used for our 2020 meetup that didn't happen are now just like Heaving Bosoms designs that you can buy that don't say 2020 meetup on them.
Right.
And then a couple other designs that didn't make the cut for that, we asked the artist to kind of like rework for this. So if you liked those 2020 meetup shirts and mugs and things like that, but didn't really want them to say 2020 meetup because it didn't happen, you can now get them to just say Heaving Bosoms.
Yeah, and international people, the new TeePublic store isn't great for shipping for you, so we do have the designs also up on Redbubble, which is better for shipping internationally. So that's an option for you. And then, big shit, you guys. And if you email us, we are going to see it and we're going to respond, and it is going to be crazy. Okay? Oh, and follow us on the socials. Follow us there because we do fun things there too now.
Yeah. Well, we always have done some fun things, but it's become more fun now that we have more time to do more fun things because we don't have to do as much boring things because Natalie helps us.
Yes. Because we don't look at our email inbox and immediately get hives and avoid it.
And just like walk away. Thank you. Thank you, Natalie.
We love you, Natalie. Okay. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love imagining a sparkly Edward Cullen just shitting blood. Shitting blood.
It's the only thing that goes wrong, Erin.
It's the only thing that ever passes. Or he's just shitting blood or plasma.
Oh my god. We didn't think we would learn anything from the Midnight Sun book, and yet we know that. Alright?
Okay.
So, wow, what a service to the universe.
I love you. I'm so glad this is over.
I love you so much. This was so fun, but also we don't have to read this book anymore. Goodbye.
I'm so happy it's over. Goodbye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.